ready. And before Pastor Igor, I would like to ask Dante, Melody, and Naomi. They will have a special item for us. And after that, Pastor Igor will come.
Show a little bit of love and kindness. Never go around with hatred's blindness. Take a little time to reach for joy and wear a happy face. Sing a little bit when the days are dreary. Give a little hope to a friend that's weary. That's the way to make the world a happy place. Sing a song. Sing a song. Spread some cheer. Spread some cheer. There are sad and lonely people everywhere. Be a friend. Be a friend. Show some love. Show some love. It will lift them from the dungeons of despair. Oh, show a little bit of love and kindness. Never go around with hatred's blindness. Take a little time to reach for joy and wear a happy face. Sing a little bit when the days are dreary. Give a little help to a friend that's weary. That's the way to make the world a happy place. Offer help, bring some hope through the fading and discouraged on life's road. See a need, lend a hand. There are many who are crushed beneath life's load. Oh, show a little bit of love and kindness. Never go around with hatred's blindness. Take a little time to reach for joy and wear a happy face. Sing a little bit when the days are dreary. Give a little help to a friend that's weary. That's the way to make the world a happy place. Show a little bit of love and kindness. Never go around with hatred's blindness. Take a little time to reach for joy and wear a happy face. Sing a little bit when the days are dreary. Give a little help to a friend that's weary. That's the way to make the world a happy place.
It's working? It's working. I'm impressed by your presence and resilience, so I'll try not to abuse it. The plan was as it was, but it has been changed, so I'm sharing something that is not according to the agenda, but anyway, I think this is very personal for me, and I guess those who have heard this in the Sabbath school felt that this is worth of sharing again. So as you see it now, it's about ADRA, because that's my personal story. But I'll try this to be less informative and hopefully more inspirational. Because the real framework I try to keep in mind now is, I joined ADRA out of blue. So I didn't ever plan or even had some clear idea I would like to do that kind of ministry. I was a pastor and I was a lecturer at the theological seminary, but that was all. But then in 2011 something happened, so I'll share it first as a framework. Because I want us to think more about what we call calling. Calling. And two remarks. Firstly, I don't know how it's here in the Australian Adventism or in the Adventisms where you came from. But in our traditional culture, in Serbia, Adventist culture, the calling is usually referred only to pastoral calling, like this highest professional. Everything else is like good, but like we need plumbers, we need construction workers, we need engineers. But it's like in the spiritual realm, it's kind of second grade, division B, something like this. But this is a big misunderstanding. Do you probably know which, where God sent Holy Spirit to a person whom he called to do something. So he called a person, and who is the first one where it was such important calling that he put the Holy Spirit on that person? Any candidates? My goodness, sister, why do you know the Bible so well? The usual candidates, that's the perfect one, but I have to say what I usually expect. Like Abraham or Moses or Noah or Jesus, the apostles. No, actually, that was a guy doing a construction work. He was partly engineer, partly like a good old laborer on a construction site. It's clear that in God's eyes, any calling you received, if it was a calling from above, it's a holy calling. It's no less of a holy calling than anything else, any missionary or pastor experienced, and then he's sharing the story of his life or her life. This is so important because otherwise we mess with the callings and we discourage people. Like, what should we say? Pastors and missionaries should be the only ones feeling that they have the full-blown support by God? No way. It doesn't make sense. So if you're called to be an engineer, a farmer, an actor, a professional sportsman, may I say, stand-up comedian. If the living God made this calling, and who am I to stop him making this calling, then it's a holy calling. And you should accept it, and you can expect a full support, of course. From your side, you should be faithful and invest in your skills and everything else. For me, it was so important to understand. In 2011, I ended my mandate in one of the districts, and I was exhausted, and I wouldn't even say pray, but I wished I will have opportunity to work something else. The only thing I was able to do was to teach at the seminary. And there were like elections. It's a big thing there in Serbia, elections. Over here, probably not so much, like pastors and conference leaders. And I cheered for someone suggesting me to be a full-time lecturer at the seminary. This didn't happen. All other pastors, they got their own districts. And I was literally the only one left hanging. I said, my goodness, will I be kicked out of the ministry? I didn't know what's going on. I even cheered for some time that at least the cook position in the seminary will be open. But it was also taken. And then I was asked, will you join ADRA? And this is very important for me, and probably for you. This calling didn't come with the trumpets of the angels, with full conviction, clear conviction, this is for me. It was a person, brethren, who asked me, will you join? I said, I'm not sure, I'll go back. At home, probably you know, I have my archangel Gabriel, who said, I think you are for that. So when my wife told me this, I went back and said, I accept it. But if you ask me if this was a clear yes, it wasn't a clear yes. It was like, sincerely, maybe. I wasn't sure. If you fast forward my life 12 years ago, 12 years forward, I will now say this is the clearest, happiest, most fulfilling experience I ever had. So this is a calling. But then it wasn't clear. The lesson learned, sometimes a calling will not come with the sharpness that you would like to have. It will be like, with the best of my judgment, I think this is a good idea, but not really 100% clearance. For me, I wish someone told me before, because I always judged according to the books I read and experiences I heard, which are mostly, how to say, too rosy and too clear-cut, different than life. So what happened in ADRA? Many things happened in ADRA, but one thing caught our attention. There was a slowly growing conviction that we should focus on certain people within our ministry. And that it should be the people who are forgotten by everyone else. In our case, those were people whom you call homeless people. Now, I don't have the full idea what homelessness means in Australia, but over there it's a specific thing, because 35 years ago we didn't have any homeless. Then that part of Europe has fallen apart, socialism went away, and then all of a sudden, because of the wars, the inflation, which was the highest ever in history of recorded inflations, because of the refugees, it was like an explosion of homelessness. So it's a very new thing there. Again, what I'm sharing now is a story of ADRA Serbia, but please find the principles that will help you, that resonate with your story of your calling. And the thread is, if you receive the calling and you go, you can expect many things, even crazy things. You'll see. Why the forgotten? Because this was a new thing in Serbia, in the whole Eastern Europe. No state have had any experience or knowledge how to stop the homelessness, this influx of people to the streets, or how to deal with those who are already homeless. When I say homeless, very small number of them, maybe up to 5%, are living rough, so outside. 95%, they occupy abandoned buildings, abandoned houses, or other people's basements. So it's not visible. And people are more or less, you couldn't recognize a person that he's a homeless. It was very interesting for us. Some of them live like this. There are children. 20% are women. 20% are below 35 years, so young people. 60% have some emotional or mental problem. But in at least half of the cases, it's a consequence of living as homeless, not as a reason to become homeless. Almost no drug addiction, which is very interesting. You have people who are functional alcoholics, but this is more a way to survive mentally and physically. It warms you up during -10 or -15. Then this being a typical way how people ended up on the street. And these are the stories I'll share. It's in Serbian, but I'll retell. This is one of the stories that I connect with the verse I was obsessed by and I shared today from Micah. Once you meet real persons and spend enough time, you stop seeing them as silhouettes or as ghosts, and you start seeing them as human beings. Bojan, now is 30 years old. When he hit 18 years, when he became adult, he had to leave the place where he was accommodated because he was an orphan. The moment he left the institution, he had some subsidy, some small financial support, very short time, and then he simply was left to slip to homelessness. And today, he lives in a marketplace, like I saw some in Melbourne. Probably I'll see many of them, or I'll be able to see many of them here. He is not useless. He's not jobless. He tries to help people on the market, and this is just enough for food. But accommodation-wise, he sleeps in the subway passage. And please take a look into his eyes. When you really took a look into his eyes, you will realize these eyes could have been yours, because these circumstances can happen to anyone. You just had better luck, and that's the most precise answer. He didn't deserve this. He was simply thrown into this world in that situation. He could have been thrown into your family or my family and be taken care of. So we work with 4,000 of them presently. When you hear all these stories, and they are a mix of bad choices and bad circumstances, you understand anyway, both ways, it could have been you. Sometimes a sheer coincidence, or you would say providence, but anyway, stopped me from making some stupid move that prevented this end. Or Dragana. Her parents were alcoholics. She was adopted informally by her aunt and tetka i teča, aunt, uncle, yes, thank you. They died, but luckily in the meantime she got enough confidence to enroll into the university in Belgrade. It went well. She created a life, but then she experienced a traffic accident, very terrible. She spent 2 months in a hospital. After exiting, she found out that her boyfriend left her, and this hit her so badly that she went back to her friends and became a drug addict. And since, she's been living on the street. Not so different from our life stories. Just one turn left wrong. Or even I would say, can I really blame a person for making that turn? Hardly. She died when she was 49, when we started working with her, because she already had cancer that wasn't curable. And we were in the middle of the process, very difficult process of getting IDs to her. Only 2 stories. They are indicative of the complexity of life scenarios. Each of them for a movie, but a bad movie, I mean, sad movie. The estimate is that only in Belgrade we have this many of them. But please remember, there is no governmental policy for them, because the government doesn't know how to deal with this, and it's a poor government anyway, and having priorities, unfortunately, others. So it's not like Australia, where you have people in this condition, but where you have programs. Maybe even here, not enough. So just remember this one. And then we sensed, okay, let's try to do something. And we started learning which are the streams feeding this Black Sea. And these are the streams. All kinds of stories. And each of them complicating that person's life in a different way. We spent 2 years just going around doing outreach to find out about this. Refugees from wars. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some were refugees from Bosnia, a country, moving to Serbia. Men, for example, who moved to Serbia, worked as labor workers most of the time, but then when they hit age when they were not able to work hard work, no one was employing them. In the meantime, no health insurance, no social insurance. They were afraid to go back to Bosnia because all men from Bosnia, Serbs, were afraid that after entering Bosnia, they will be charged for war crimes. Because Bosnia and Herzegovina said internationally, they shared this, that every male who served the army as a conscript, like force conscript in Bosnia, is potentially will be charged for war crimes. You never know. Maybe there were a small percentage of war criminals, but all the others were afraid. And they are stuck in Serbia with no papers and all kinds of stupid things. And victims of violence, families who bought a flat apartment with bad mortgages, with bad interest rates. A father lost the job, kicked out. It's not, I don't know how it's here, but in many countries it's a usual thing. Then usually the mother with kids go to her primary family, and the guy is left. Or even some women end up, or even whole families. Psychiatric patients, when they are treated in a hospital, when they are released to nothing, basically. I mean, no one takes care of them. So, I feel panic when I talk about this. How many reasons there are that this number will go up and that this will not be solved. But to be honest, when we started thinking about this, we had one thing clear. God, we will go into this, but only if you prove that you will support us even in the very bad episodes we will certainly have. And the reason why we still feel this is the thing is that when you go to the Gospels and you see all these contacts Jesus made, like he made them on purpose. He always was going to these people. He had some occasional contacts with the priests or Pharisees or Sadducees, but the ones he went to intentionally were the lepers, for example. You know who were the lepers. People who got sick, skin disease, and they were ostracized. They were removed from the society to be, how you say? So isolated, and so the society can be safe, like safety measure. But in the meantime, they continued falling apart in a physical way, emotionally. You cannot kiss your wife. You cannot watch your kids grow. You cannot work so that you can feel as a contributor, as someone with dignity. And all these things that we forget. And Jesus went to these people first. Why? Because they were in the deepest hole of all holes that people can fall in. Or the prostitutes. Most probably, most of them worked to survive because they were without a man in a family, brother or husband. They maybe lost their husband or never got married. And the only way in those times to survive, to meet your ends, was to do this. So it's not very difficult to imagine that there was a contempt for these ladies, but there was self-contempt, maybe even stronger than that. Or I call them local bosses. My goodness, I missed the word. Carinici. Tax collector. Tax collectors, why were they despised? Why were they pushed aside? They were like good businessmen. Yeah, but they were criminals, basically. They were stealing money from people by increasing the taxes on their own. And they were despised, and I would say even they despised themselves. I like how Chosen pictured Matthew, the tax collector. Afraid. He has a good bank account, but not much apart from that. Or Jesus and the possessed in the grave. Maybe the most dramatic a case of a forgotten person. Like the society simply doesn't count on you. You are a ghost, you are a stone. So it seemed that Jesus today would go to the forgotten ones. And we went there. Many reasons were not to go there because it's difficult. No one has any experience. There is no worked out model how to work with homeless in post-socialist countries. So many reasons not to do it. But we we went there anyway, not with much reluctance and maybe even more self-doubt in many moments later on. We knew that what we will do will accomplish this thing. And this is one of 6 things I want to list that we hoped we will achieve, and God was there to help us achieve it. Reduce suffering and give hope. In this case, this was the clear outcome. The second hope we had was that we will not be a new Red Cross or a governmental social worker unit that will do something, but it will stop with the physical needs, social needs. We wanted this to have a signature of a Christian, of an Adventist work. And this is very important. It's great to help people, but we are called to help people in the way Christ did it. He was healing, but he wanted with the healing to reduce suffering, give hope, but draw the attention to something specific, to the kingdom of God. This is so important. Otherwise, you lose yourself and you lose your mission. And today, after 6 years of work, we have worked with this many people, providing showers, distributing packages, providing health care, going to people where they live, counseling by psychologists, social workers, and legal aid. All of this is needed, and we learned immediately because they have all these needs. I mean, I thought showers in a bus. We bought a bus and we turned it into a mobile home with showers, with small medical office and all the rest. We thought showers. I mean, it took most of our time was taken by companies we hired to create showers. And I said, my goodness, after 1 year of trying to build a shower, I thought, is it really worth it? I mean, I will take them to my place. I mean, it's really above my head. I cannot stand it anymore. But when we finally finished it, we realized that going where they are and providing a shower it sounds a banal thing. But actually, if something gives hope, is when a guy who didn't have a shower for 3 months gets in, gets out, looks in the mirror, and he sees a silhouette of someone he could become again. Or for the first time, actually. So he proved that I forgave all these companies we hired and they fooled us around. I forgave them because it was worth it. Although I curse them sometimes in my dreams, but still. I mean, if you have bad experience here, you should go to Serbia. It's like... and this is how the idea came to our mind. Of course, the uncontrolled Americans, they have all these big things they want to make. And this gave us idea, and this is our bus. It's called a road home. A road home. It is very attractive. And this is a video that was made by international team of Associated Press. They found out about us, and they came to us, and they said, we want to make a story about you. You know, Reuters, Associated Press, the 2 biggest international news agencies. And they came and they made this like 2 or 4 minute, two versions. They published this, and in one hour, 100 news agencies, media outlets around the world took it over and republished it. It was Washington Post, Independent, BBC, USA Today, all national broadcasters, from Australia, even you can find something in Australian media. They renamed me into ADRA group, but never mind. And this started circling around. While we started working with people, it became, I mean, it's understatement to say it became visible. It was all around the place. This is a small video from the inside. We don't want to disturb our people we work with. This is like a small insight how it looks like. Our colleague is preparing a person for a shower. And then a medical checkup. This is how it looks like. This outpost with the bus and an ambulance, I forgot to mention the ambulance, is a smaller part of our work. The largest amount of money we spend by going around like this, discovering people in abandoned buildings or houses. We were informed by neighbors, by citizens, by the government actually. And this is a photo of Nikola. When Djokovic started becoming like a pro, this guy had high chances and better rating among the Serbian players and better forecasts than Djokovic. But then with one stupid move, he went downhill, and this is how he ended up. And we discovered almost on the brink of dying. And this was only a like intervention. But then our social workers started doing the really hard job to negotiate with the government him to be accepted in a shelter. Why? Because for all these thousands of people, we have only one shelter, capacity of 100 beds. So it's criminally undercapacitated. So it's not even near the needs. And it's very difficult to build new shelters. It's expensive. And these are the numbers just to get a fuller picture, how it looks like now. Monthly, we provide this many of these services, this many of health services, this many of all these services that are a bridge to escaping the street. And yearly, we work with around 1,600 people, or 4,000 different since 2020. So it was clear that we are doing the first, and God is providing us to do the first and to accomplish it as much as we can. And the second, when you do it as a Christian organization and you explain it to people, to beneficiaries, but even more importantly, to people you work with, organizations, the government, then this second thing happens. Then you say you're doing it for a reason that you see that a human life is a sacred thing, that you do following Jesus' example. Everybody knows we have financial problems. But then when I share, yes, but we started this because of God. And we go to God to pray and to ask for money. And then He gives. I mean, once they hear it from a pastor, being a director of ADRA, they say, of course you'll say this, you're a pastor. But then our staff who are not Adventists, or others who are following us as partners, it's happening too frequently, this to be and they see that there is a force. First of all, we were crazy enough to start this. You need to have a diagnosis to start this. We started this and we moved, and all the obstacles were kind of going right and left. And this was for me the most spiritual experience I ever had. I put, how you say in Serbian, in English, I put God's reputation on the floor. And I said, God, you called us, we are doing all our best, forgive our mistakes. But now when people ask, I'll say, yes, but we didn't start this as a business or of our own. I told them, I'm going to pray to you, I'm praying to you, so please respond. And God is responding. God has responded through many of you, and God bless you for this. And you will see through how many other. The third thing that we didn't ever expect was that the media, as I already shared, started positively picturing and talking about Adventism. For us, over there, it's it's a miracle, because since Adventism was established 120 years ago in Yugoslavia, in that part of Eastern Europe, we were always a sect. There was always a pressure, stronger, maybe sometimes violent, but always a pressure. And this was like you are running, but you have a very strong chest wind. It's very difficult to work in these conditions. So this was unexpected development. I mean, we have like monthly coverage by all kinds of media outlets, all kinds. And they even became, without even once paying them or negotiating with them, please come. They knock at our doors. Like all these 5 years, it's only them coming to us. I never heard this ever happening. I'll share later, yes, this is my twin brother. And these are some of those who covered our work. ERT is a Greek national media. I didn't know why they were interested in this, but they anyway came. We were in the news, in the Greek news. By the way, the church in Greece is, maybe God wanted this to be one of the reasons. This is one of the articles. I'm singling out this from the Independent, where ADRA was always specifically mentioned by name. So it's not like ADRA, who knows what ADRA is. It was always Adventist Development and Relief Agency. For us, a big thing. Most recently, a month ago, this was the most viewed family afternoon program on the Serbian radio television, where they talked about this problem, poverty and homelessness, and they came to us. They asked us about solutions for the problem. So now they are coming to us to ask for solutions. And it was like the full name of ADRA. I mean, we don't really need Adventists to be mentioned. It doesn't mean much to me, it doesn't mean much to you. But this second point I shared, like drawing the attention to the root, that's the point. To God, to Christ, that this is a Christian thing. It's a different thing. I mean, one of the benefits of me being a pastor is it became ridiculous. I started being invited into most watched morning shows with top journalists to talk about like solving the world problems. You know, I was invited in the autumn into this morning show to talk with on the other side was a Red Cross person. I was talking on behalf of ADRA, and I was asked, tell us what are the solutions. And you know, I said it's easy for pastors, because pastors, as you know, they talk about things they know and they improvise, talking about things they don't know. So I used those skills I developed to talk as much as I can on these things. So, I mean, it is really fun experience. It's all over the place, and they keep asking us. Sometimes we have to refuse. We don't know the answer. Here I talked about what is the solution to uproot the absolute poverty. It means the poverty where people cannot survive even a day. And this is rising in Serbia. And then I was telling all kinds of stories, mainly true. Now, when there is a problem, they come to us, they quote our figures, our estimates, and then they invite the government to comment on our figures. And the mayor of Belgrade, he was in a very sensitive moment of local elections, and it's a crazy time there, believe me, some of you know. He was asked, ADRA said there are at least 4,000 homeless in Belgrade, and said, no, that's not true, we have the figure of 350. And then he understood that he made a stupid statement. He went back. He came back to the media and said, we will see. Maybe there are more. And then there was a small, how to say, polite back and forth between ADRA in our media statements and him. But one important thing, we attracted attention to the problem. We became the quoted agency, and all of the time, it's a Christian Adventist organization. I mean, for us, the credibility God gave us, that's crazy enough. That's enough. And now the government is inviting us to help them to solve the problem, like prevent the problem. And even crazier than this, because of all of these splashes and waves, we were just doing the job, and all of the other things were developing around us without us doing anything. Society started following Adventist organization. Government said, we want you on our working bodies to develop 2 new policies and laws that we even didn't have. I mean, I sometimes dreamt about Adventists being contributors in the public policy in Balkans, but this much, I would even say this is not happening even in the West. I don't think so. And then people started popping up when we would be stuck financially. Winter, it was very harsh winter last time. And we couldn't provide the number of sleeping bags, very expensive, like mountain, like each of them $150, Australian dollars. We needed at least 100 of them. Couldn't find the money. And almost out of blue, a person showed up. This is the person. And when she came with a donation, a large donation, we asked her why Novak Djokovic Foundation decided to give us 25,000 euros for sleeping bags when you are not working with adults. You are specialized in supporting children. And if you would listen to her answer, Novak Djokovic's wife, she said, well, yes, but after my friend explained to me how people become homeless, and who is her friend, that's our colleague from ADRA, it was funny, we just employed her. And when we were in the problem, she said, I'll talk to a primary school girlfriend. We didn't know who the primary school girlfriend is. And she came back and she said, she will probably help. And then when she came, we realized who she is. Going back to Yelena's explanation, she said, yes, but I see many children here just being grown-ups because no one really was with them when they were children. After this, there was a book fair with our book stand of our publishing house. She came and she bought 20 Adventist books, like Spirit of Prophecy. And interestingly, she was especially focused on Adventist home. And I mean, let us pray for them. And I mean, it's not only her. She actually assembled a group of businessmen who wanted to remain anonymous around her. And she just a month ago donated another for this winter. Crazy things. I don't know what to rejoice more about them being with us or them being connected with Adventism or Christ. I mean, just pray, I don't know what to say. We got this donation and this comedy to be like full-blown comedy. A year ago, we were invited to go into the parliament, and we were invited by the minister in the government to present to the whole panel, like of parliamentarians, I mean, everyone was there. Our work, because unfortunately we are the only one working with homeless, both on this service delivery level and this policy level. And then our work with government started, and I really thought much about what to say here, how deep into the Bible to go. And I sensed the good measure is to say that the real reason why we are doing this is because God made human life sacred thing. And no one blinked. That was okay. You know why? You know why? Because when all of these guys, and I won't mention the name out of respect for these government people, when we go to pub and we go talk or they chat with me in the evenings or we drive around and talk, they ask me, why Adventism? What it is about Adventism? Okay, we know we are a Christian church, but, and you know how easy it is to talk about Adventism now? Because they've already seen it. I just need to connect the dots, basically. And also, I'm creatively pushed into some new sentences. Not to say we are the seventh-day Advent, like Sabbath, Adventism. That's okay, but I don't feel it's a good answer. My feeling, the best answer is we are like the lizards from Australia. You know, one eye here, the other way around. Do you have these lizards? Like, going all over the place? Chameleon. It is chameleon. We are so much convinced that God's return and the new earth is the solution, that we don't have any illusion that we will fix the world. So we are with the full hope there. The grave is not insurmountable obstacle we see. And this is where we get our hope. But we are so much that we are with both feet here. We love this ground, we love this nature, we love these people, or we're trying our best. We love everything that is around. We like art, we like good movies, we like everything good. We like good ideas on the internet, we like good analysis, we like good political movements. Because everything good is part, at least in some part, of the new world. We want to collect everything and to water it so that we can feel how God is giving us foretastes of the future world. And when I say this, like we are both there and here, fully here, they say it makes sense. It makes sense. And for all these years I've been pastor, for the first time I see light when I'm talking about this, because the hardest part was already demonstrated. And it's, some of you know, most of our staff are not Adventists. Why? Because we cannot find competent professionals in a very small church. But I said, okay, God, either we will stop doing this because not enough Adventists are in the staff, or we will do it, but with the prayer that you will turn them into Adventists, so that at the end they will do the full mission, not only the social or health part. And by the way, the real mission in witnessing is not happening with the homeless. They are coming to church. But with all these governmental guys, media guys, people from academia, people from other charities, and the whole of the parliament was given to us to present a publication I'm really grateful we made. It's called Stories of Invisible People, of 8 of them that represent all of these thousands of people that we wanted to make visible for the first time. And the whole parliament, the whole government received a copy. And on this video panel, they were like, the photos were changed and so forth. And the minister in one of these public events said, ADRA is our leader in combating homelessness. They fight where it matters the most, where people live. When I watch what you in ADRA do, I feel deepest respect. Let us do together more to protect all, and that no one is left behind. And it's become clear that it's not ADRA being a genius charity. It's something alive behind ADRA. His first associate she's of my age, so we kind of connected easily. She said, we need your church to spread this spirit of solidarity in this worn out and tired Serbia. And I thought, are you talking about like the church in general? No, I'm talking about your church. I mean, the Greek Orthodox Church is the strongest one. But we are still waiting for the giant to wake up, to do something. In the meantime, the hobbits are doing the job. And as you know, the Lord of the Rings, the hobbits did the job. So, don't forget, I'm not forgetting the framework. When God is calling you personally in any kind of direction, professional, personal, a move you should make, you feel you should make in your family life, your health, spiritual life, just stick to it because when you stick to that calling, formidable force will blow into your back. And as long as you are not falling, or even if you fall, if you stand up, you'll see very funny things happening. Very funny things happening. And the final funny thing happening is that COVID brought us huge number of followers on our channels. Like huge for us, like thousands, millions of views for Serbia. I mean, talking about the whole Balkans, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia. And people on the last census, a year ago, we know there are 6,500 Adventists in 4 countries that comprise our union. Our union is comprised of 4 countries. 6,500. In Serbia, in Serbia only, solely, 30,000 people signed as Adventists. I mean, how to interpret this? What to make out of this number? And I mean, this is only Serbia. Who knows how many of them in Bosnia and other countries of our union? And everybody agrees. They are attracted by the truth. There is a healthy traditional movement among the youth over there. But they are afraid to step, mostly because of the social pressure. Business, family, marriage. Then I thought, maybe God, you want to use all of this to create a different image of Adventism so that they feel more confident in stepping up, or even that the families stop complaining, but rather saying, I will be proud for you to be part of that community. No one is doing anything. And these guys, with the resources they have, they are doing it. The last Sabbath I was in the main church, I saw this phenomenon that is 2 or 3 years old happening. Like every Sabbath we have 4, 5, 10 young people, new people, no one knew before. They simply came. So cross the threshold of the church. But when we shared about ADRA on that specific Sabbath morning, they came to lunch. No one came from the church to lunch ADRA organized, but these people came. No one knew about them. They said, we came here because we watched the YouTube channels and we think you are the only one church where you open the Bible in Sabbath school and you talk. And we saw this is happening. But the church is also doing this, fighting for the justice in community. This is a community a church community you want to be part of. This is like a ceiling on the conviction they had. I was so happy when I heard that. And the last thing is, all of this that ADRA has been doing encouraged local churches to start their own ministries. And they are doing separately. And I will stop here. Again, this is a story about the calling God has sent your way. And maybe you are walking, maybe tired. Don't be tired. You have the most precious support. Because when God is calling, God is not a charlatan. God is not calling and then stepping back and saying, sorry, mate. He will be there. Just be a marathon runner and you'll see all kinds of things, all kinds of funny things happening. And for me, I became spiritually awake thanks to this. Before that, I was. So recognize the calling. And what is the calling? What is the calling? A guy I'm recommending second time for a reason, Frederick Bickner. Where does God call you? Where does God call you? Wherever it is a spot where your deepest gladness meets the deepest needs of the world. It's always that spot. You come alive when you are when you are making this world more alive. I pray you find that place, or if you found it, not lose a sight of it. Amen.
Pastor Igor, thank you so much for sharing this story. so we can learn something from this story. So now we will have a break, but I'm not sure what to do. Do you want 15 minutes break or 30 minutes break? 30? Good. I'm just thinking about people because we announced that we will have a 30 minutes break, so we will start 5. I'm not sure that anyone will come, but 15 minutes?
Let me just give the people of God some hope. It will be very short blitz sermon, or sermonette, as they call it. So don't worry. If you come, it will be, I almost said like a jab. It will be a very short experience. A good job.
So our head elder, he said 15 minutes. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, so 15 minutes break. Okay.